Buju would struggle to get past the border. There are so many artists that I'd like to bring to Australia, but there's no point in bringing an artist who is ripping it up in North America and Canada and the UK, but not known in Australia, because Afrobeat, it's much bigger in Australia.
What else is going on in the future for reggae music in Australia, man?
Yardman Podcast are the one. 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 Yardman Podcast. Tell about the Yardman Podcast. Yardman Podcast. Tell about the Yardman Podcast.
Boom, boom, boom. Rewind. Come again.
Yeah, man. David and Tonil back again with the #1 Jamaican podcast in Murcia, Spain.
#1 Jamaican podcast in Europe.
And we're going for the world. And this one, we have a special guest. Well, all our guests are special, so I need to stop using that. I hate when podcasts say, we have a special guest.
No, this is our special guest from down under.
So 1 week you get now got special, and we are going to say, I forgot to call someone special, and you do 50 episodes, and you have 49 special, and that, I mean a special. No, everybody that comes on the podcast is special.
Correction. I am down under at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Via St. Thomas, Jamaica.
Yeah, man. That
is correct.
And before that, Africa, but I don't know which part in Africa yet.
It look kind of Ghanaians on a level still, so could I be from there?
Well, I've done my DNA testing, which is not a good idea, because if I'd done anything in the past, right now it's going to catch up on me, but thankfully I haven't done anything.
Mm-hmm.
So my DNA results say that my people are from Benin and Togo, which is
West African coast. Benin Empire.
Yeah, man, they're all kings and queens over there, you know, so I'm of royalty, for real.
Yes.
Well, Stick, I'm going to tell you something about that DNA testing. Please don't do it. I'm sorry you do it, but sorry you do it.
It's done.
Sorry you do it. No, you know that before we even get into the topic, because this is something that I thought about. You mentioned the whole, if you do something in the past, it come up. But you know that one of these agencies are being investigated for selling your DNA data, even though they tell you they don't sell it afterwards.
I knew it.
Wow.
Yes. I can't remember which one it's called. But they're in front of the U.S. Senate.
Is it 24andMe?
I think that's the one. You know, I think that's.
Or is it Ancestry.com?
It's not Ancestry. I think it's a 24andMe one.
Well, all right then.
So you're getting some money from a potential lawsuit if that's the one you use. They're not supposed to do that, but they were doing it. Even though they put in the terms and condition that they don't use your data for any commercial means, they still did it.
You know, that was my biggest fear with doing this DNA test. That was the one reason why I didn't want to, because I knew that this would happen. A data breach like this, for example, or they would sell your DNA to pharmaceutical companies who can make drugs for people like you, for example.
Yeah.
You know?
Sell it now, bro. It's like data is so important. If you know someone's genetic makeup, there's so much you can do.
Well, imagine you seeing Bolt with all those blood tests over the years.
That's done so, Larry. They're trying to create him in a lab. But today we're here to talk about Stick Mareebo.
Yes.
Stick Mareebo is a Jamaican-born DJ, MC, event promoter, currently based in Melbourne, Australia. Yes, people, we have people in Australia. They're
and he's also a public figure in Australia.
Exactly. He's widely known for his presence and love of reggae music, dancehall, Afro-Caribbean culture. He's been a force in Melbourne. I think you have been in the music scene there for over 20 years, just highlighting the Afro-Caribbean culture, putting on festivals, bringing artists there, performing in different venues. I see here that you've performed at the Hard Rock Cafe, the Australian Grand Prix, and you still have time for work on the radios, and you work in the sound system culture. Essentially, Stick is a man that brings everybody together with music in Australia. As the name suggests, Stick. You know,
It's a long
yeah,
time, bro.
a
It's a long
long
time.
time. Long time.
This journey started in 1987. So even the Hard Rock Cafe is now closed. But I did have lunch with Reese Witherspoon in there, and I also had
Ooh.
lunch with Coolio in the
Mm-hmm.
same Hard Rock Cafe. And I'm gonna say this, but don't tell nobody. I also did meet Puff Daddy in the
Yeah.
Hard Rock Cafe in Melbourne. Yeah,
Ah.
him never, nothing funny never go on. Let me tell you
Nothing
now.
funny ever go on. That's everybody know. Everybody's like, nothing funny ever go on.
Let it
So,
be known.
No.
Let it be known. Yes.
yeah, man, just in case your name pop up in the court case.
Yeah, but I also had coffee with Beyonce and Destiny's Child around about the
Ah.
same. Yeah, you know,
Mm.
so
So,
the journey is long. I wrote all of that stuff that you just read out as well. So some people might
mm,
contest it, but
mm.
honestly, it's the truth.
Ah, nice, nice. So, what brought you from Jamaica all the way to Australia? Jamaicans don't normally go to Australia. Is
And
it
not,
England or America?
and not just
Yeah,
Jamaica, from St. Thomas.
Yeah.
yes, brother. Let me tell you, it shocked me as well when we think about it and the journey, because I was working at Devon House in Kingston in 1985, and
Interesting.
I met a lot of Australian people who came to Jamaica for the cricket, and they were telling me
Mm.
that that Melbourne is beautiful, the women are beautiful, the cricket is great, and the weather is amazing. They are liars. It's not true.
The cricket is good, no? At
The
least.
cricket is good. Just
At
let's leave it
least.
at that. The cricket is good. The women are okay, but the weather is no good, bro.
Oh, wow.
Also, how does it differ?
We can experience all 4 seasons in one day, any day of the year. You know, we would it
Mm.
would be freezing cold, raining, sunshine, hot and hail, and even sometimes in certain parts you get a bit of snow.
So you
Okay.
always have the same 4 things in your backpack to carry every day. Your
I
umbrella,
never
and all of
leave
these
my house
things.
without a jacket. That
Oh,
is the yeah.
that's a big
But
difference because you can do that in Jamaica every day.
Yeah.
mm, but as it relates to the musical journey, I believe I started. I look. Do you want me to tell you the story?
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man.
It's
I
your
want you the
story, man.
story. I
Your
want you the
world.
story.
Well, when I was leaving Jamaica in 1987, on the 11th of September, Peter Tosh was murdered, and I left Jamaica in November, and I bought every Peter Tosh album that I could find, and Bob Marley, Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaac, all of the people and what me love and used to go out and listen to Brigadier Jerry, Sister Nancy, whatever.
Mm.
And when I arrived in Melbourne, like an idiot, I took all of my records to the club and tell the DJ that these songs they need to play because these are current and mashing up the place in Jamaica. And it was a reggae night. And the DJ says to me, Michael, his name was, or Silky, there are two of them. He says, bro, you can play them yourself. And I say, I don't know how to DJ. I just have these records because I bring them with me from Jamaica 2 days ago. And the man said, come, let me show you. And it's a turntable thing, you know, because vinyl we are talking about, you know,
Yeah, man.
there's no CD and
Scratching.
DVD. And the brother showed me the crossfader and the up and down button. And he says, I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to the bar. He was gone. He was gone for 2 hours. I was terrible at it. But in that time, the owner of the bar came to me and said, where do you DJ? And I said, man, I don't DJ nowhere. I've been here 2 days. He says, do you want to come back next week? I say, yeah. I DJ in that place for 10 years.
Wow.
He just fell into it.
Just like that, brother.
Yeah.
Just like that.
So, would you say that was your first big break as a DJ or promoter, or did that come years after?
Well, you know, when I live in St. Thomas, my sister was going out with a guy who owned a sound system named Black Joy. And he used to make me set it up and put on a record and play. And I used to fancy myself as a singer more than a DJ. Like, really, as we're talking as Jamaican, I was a
Yeah.
DJ. I wasn't a record selector. I used to angle the mic and sing and whatever. So it's in that venue in 1994 that the program director of a popular radio station came to me and says, I love your voice. I'd like you to come to the radio station. We'd like to give you some work. And I said, do you play reggae? And they said, no, we play Shaggy and Pato Bantan and a couple other artists. I said, no, sir, I'm not interested. But when they offer me the money they offer me, I said, bro, yeah, I'm coming. And I went to the radio station just like that, and I worked for them for 7 years.
Oh, you seem loyal, man.
And then I was poached by another radio station, and I went and worked for them. I had my own show. I did every part of radio for 16 years with that radio station. So in total, around about 24 years on commercial radio.
Wow. And have you seen, for example, reggae music grow over that time? From the first time you went on the radio station to now?
Yes, brother.
What growth have you seen?
Absolutely. You know, in the year 2002, there was not one single reggae sound system in Melbourne. There was one sound system in Sydney called Soulmaker, and the brother is from England, but via Jamaica to England. And he brought his sound system in 1973. No, he came to Sydney in 1973, and he built his sound system, but he couldn't play it anywhere because nobody didn't understand what was going on. But in the year 2002, the very first reggae sound system was built in Melbourne called Article iPower.
Article iPower, I know this name.
Yeah.
Do they tour?
But no, just around the country, but not overseas. There's another Article sound system that is a label as well. I think they're in France.
Okay.
The actual physical sound system, Article iPower, is in Melbourne and was built here by a gentleman named Derek from the UK. I think he's from Liverpool. But now there are more than 25 sound systems in Melbourne. There are more than 55 across Australia in general. And it sounds like the sound system culture in Australia now is like what it used to be in the UK in the 80s. People building proper boxes and stringing them up and having big dance.
And what would you say might be accounted for this sound system boom over the years?
I think it's the Windrush generation of the UK that brought that music to the UK, because 90% of the people who own sound systems out here, they're expat Englishmen. You know, there are a handful of
Australia.
Absolutely, there are a handful of Aussies that owns, but you know they're just learning from the Englishmen how to build them and how to craft them up properly. But the thing is, the sound system culture out here now is pretty strong, and everybody wants to be an MC, everybody want to be a singer, everybody want to be a selector. So they just join a crew.
So how does that work though? Like these people, non-Jamaicans working on a sound system, do they have their dubs? You know, what's their experience like? You know, any sound clashes or anything like that going on down under?
Brothers, let me tell you, this is a really sticky point, because there are a lot of people here involved in sound systems that think they know more than Jamaicans about the thing, you know, and there have been many sound clashes here. There's two different kind of sound system. As you know, there's a guy who have a laptop with 200 dub plates on it that says he's got a sound system.
Yeah.
And then there's a man who actually have a physical sound system with, you know, 4 stacks and double 18 speakers to the bass and mid-highs and treble, yeah? So there's two different categories, and they're very much prominent here. I don't count the people who don't own the physical sound system. I'm only talking about people who build boxes and actually have them string up. So the laptop sounds, and I don't want to disrespect them because a lot of them are friends, they spend more money on dub plates than they do on speakers. So, yeah, man, there's some serious reggae clash here, sound system clash here, man. Serious thing.
Can you name any like reggae sound system clash festival that they will usually have, or any parties that we usually have?
Well, I can tell you that Saxon sound system was out here in 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a dub plate session in a venue in a place called St. Kilda, where all of the guys came with their dubs, and Saxon just played dubs, and it was just dubs, dubs, dubs. Um, we had a sound clash at the Jamaican Music and Food Festival in 2022 here in Melbourne. We had Pipeline Sound System, is a sound system from 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 France, and Russid, who owns Future Sound, and they're from Perth, which is Western Australia. And that was a serious clash. A whole heap of people got put in their box.
What about Jamaican sound systems? Have any ventured to Australia, or do they just come with the laptop?
Well, it Australia is very far enough. I have to take 3 planes to get to Jamaica. It would take me no less than 27 hours to get home. So just imagine bringing a physical sound system from Jamaica. You just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So you bring like Bada General. Bada General is coming out here. He's from Pieces Sound System, and he's coming out here in December. And I'm trying to encourage him to bring his box, because we have a series of events where we have dub plates and dinner dates. So we have the jerk pan set up and the Jamaican food going, and people playing dubs, and you just bring a date.
So how is, you said that it's 3 flights? That's the cost of logistics just to ship like a full sound system, a full stack, even just one of the columns them.
Money.
It would
That
take
rough.
it would take at least 5 months for a ship to bring something from Jamaica to Melbourne.
So right now he has to be sending and shipping it off. No.
No. But he's not bringing the sound. He's bringing
Okay.
he's bringing the dub box.
Yeah.
Because we have 25 sound systems here. We will just use one of the sound systems to power the performance,
Okay.
Makes sense.
You mentioned events like just this one. You do the Jamaican Music and Food Festival. How did you get into that, and how has it grown or declined, or what has happened with it over the years?
Well, like people always ask about where can we get Jamaican food, and there is actually no Jamaican restaurant in Melbourne, believe it or not. But there are a few food vendors, like food trucks. So because one of my biggest passion is food, and then the next big passion is music, and I was always thinking about how I could put the two things together. So in 2015, I decided to step away from the commercial radio and go back to promoting Jamaica, Jamaican culture, and Jamaican music. And I started up the Jamaican Music and Food Festival. And I decided I would bring in everybody who is involved in reggae in Melbourne: sound system, bands, DJs, MCs, singers, and all the food vendors. And if 500 people turn up, it would be a very successful day. Well, as it got close to the time, I realized that 10,000 people were interested in coming.
Wow.
And my son says, "Dad, you know that only half of those people will come." And I said, "Even so." So yeah, we had about 5,500 people turn up for the very first one.
Wow, that's a good look.
And that's how we started it.
Is this a consistent number for when you put on your reggae events? Do you bring any artists from Jamaica there? How is it?
I have toured a lot of Jamaican artists. Like the first person I ever toured into Australia is Taurus Riley. And I tour Bushman, I tour Itana, I tour Maccabee, General Levy. They're not Jamaicans, but I toured them. I tour Kimani Marley. I just did a tour with Queen Amiga, like in March of this year. Yeah, I've toured a lot of Jamaican artists, and it's different when you have an artist doing a club show. It's a struggle. But once we organize an event outdoors where you can bring the family, they're well supported. It's consistently turning over 4,500 to 5,000 people every year. This year we will be sold out because we have a very special inclusion into the festival.
What's that? What's that inclusion, if you might share?
Well, there are two elements. One is we know that we're missing all the people from the jungle and drum and bass fraternity, and they're mainly expats from the UK. But we noticed that they're not coming to the festival because all I ever put on is roots reggae. Last year we had Anthony B. The year before that we had Turbulence. And yeah, we've had several other Jamaicans. So this year we're gonna have a jungle arena. And we also are very close to New Zealand, if you didn't know, like it's a neighbor. And so the New Zealand population is not coming to the festival because they're into a different kind of reggae music. They're more into the island vibe and the Bob Marley and all of the really soulful reggae stuff.
Hawaii reggae.
Yeah, man. Like if you put on J-Boogie, we have to find a bigger venue. Yeah. You know. So we're going to book a band from New Zealand, and we're going to put them on the main stage. So we know already that another 500 to 1,500 people will be coming to this year's event.
And apart from the reggae fans who were already in Australia when you started this event, right? Would you say that you have created a lot more reggae fans?
Yeah, bro, 100%, 100%. Because, you know, like most people who come to JMFF, I believe they come for an experience more than who is on the stage, because it doesn't matter which artist we bring. It seems to just always pull up people. And basically, I believe they come for the culture. They come for the taste of the Caribbean. They come, you know, Jamaica is the capital, the flagship. So they come for the food. They come for the music. They come to hear us talk. They come to just see some people they haven't seen for 12 months. It's like a catch-up place, you know, where people get together and they get to bring their kids as well. They can even bring their dog, you know. So it's a nice thing.
It's a good vibe. And what if you mentioned the club circuit is different from the festival? Because as I said, the festival has a whole lot of things apart from the artist. The club circuit, the only thing bringing someone there is the artist.
Is the artist.
What's the difference in the reception like?
Well, I believe in supply and demand. There are so many artists that I'd like to bring to Australia, but there's no point in bringing an artist who is ripping it up in North America and Canada and the UK, but not known in Australia, because it's a struggle to pay for what the shows are worth. It's a struggle to pay for all the costs associated with the shows. So basically, the best thing to do is to supply what's in demand. You know, that's why a lot of artists are always repeating this journey to come back to Australia.
Who's in demand in Australia? Top 5.
Top 5 right now. If Sister Nancy come back, every venue full of people. If we could get Junior Gang, we would need a stadium. But obviously, you need a person with a very long pocket. I know, say it not go cheap.
From Sydney to Kingston.
Yes, brother. Shensia has been here on big festivals, and Beanie Man has been here on big festivals. Skilly Bang came out here, but right now, to be honest, it's the Roots that is most popular in Australia. You know, when we had Anthony B out here, he had shows every day because people want to hear the message. You know.
Are people asking for Berries and Buju there?
Listen, man. Buju would sell really well in Australia. I believe that Australia is such a nanny state. Like when I say nanny, everything is controlled. Yeah? Like Buju would struggle to get past the border. I'm speaking from experience because I tour a lot of people. The questions they ask, Buju's legitimate answers will stop him. So Beres, listen, I believe that Beres is a black man artist. Girls love him too, you know. But when Beres is playing somewhere, you don't even need a girl to enjoy Beres. Beres is a black man artist. And here in Australia, we don't have that demographic. We don't have that population of black men who understand an artist like Beres. You know what I mean? If I bring Beres out, if I win the lottery, I would bring Beres for myself and anybody else who want to come. But to be honest, you know, it'd be hard for Beres to fill a big venue of 1,000 people in Australia because it's just not you know, listened to on TV and radio in Australia.
So mainly because of the demographic then, not because of the quality, but the demographic of people who listen to his music.
That is correct because, you know, there's less than 2,000 Jamaicans in all of Australia. That's the first thing, yeah. And most of the Jamaicans here are men, but most of us are professional people who you don't see them really come out to a nightclub or to an artist playing in a club. So we need the African diaspora. We need all of the people who have some roots in them and some culture. And it's a hard place for reggae music. I'm telling you the truth. I am pushing crap up the hill with the people I bring to Australia because it's very hard to sell a ticket for a show. And it's very hard to explain to a reggae artist that if you go to North America, you can ask for $50,000 for a show. And I hear some big artists asking for $1 million, but I don't know about that. But the thing is, you just can't, they don't understand. They don't understand Australian market. If someone say, hey, I'd like to book you to come to Australia, all of a sudden they think, oh, it's so far away and there's lots of people there. Big money. But there's a very small minority of the population that is into reggae music or understand a live artist on stage. I've been doing this since 1987. You know, when I first arrived in Australia, I was Cutty Ranks, I was Buju Banton, I was Shabba Ranks. I was imitating all these guys with their lyrics from beginning to end. And I had the vinyl with the dub, the version on the next side. And I was going to clubs and flipping the records and singing my own lyrics or Shabba lyrics or Buju lyrics on the flip side. And people wouldn't have a clue what was going on. They don't know. They thought maybe the record was still playing. And yeah, and no.
So they can't even differentiate that.
Well, it's new to them. It was new to them. So now we have a few MCs, and they're predominantly Australian accent and English accent. But them are do them thing, you know. Them are go on with themselves.
Nah, go lie, Aussie accent on a mic, I pull up tune, you know. That probably bad still, you know.
Yeah, it's a novelty for someone like you who don't hear it every day. But when I hear it, I'm walking up to them saying, give me the mic. How are you?
You feel cringy for you. It's cringy for you, funny for me.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Apart from the reggae side now, there is also dancehall. You mentioned dancehall. Is there, what's the scene like for dancehall in Australia?
Well, I mean, I disclosed to you my age before, and I'm old school. And obviously you guys are very young because I don't differentiate the music. I still don't do it. I still don't do it, but I'm going to appease you and answer your question. Still, I believe that you got your hand, which is reggae, and then you have a lot of fingers. One is dancehall, one is lovers rock, one is roots reggae, one is jungle, one is drum and bass, and there's so many offsprings of reggae. which come through from ska and rocksteady.
Yeah.
But dancehall, for me, when I was going to go listen Stereogav with Briggy and Sister Nancy, I was going to the dancehall to listen to reggae. But I think they should have given it a new name, but since they call it dancehall and it's a different thing to reggae, I'm gonna work with that. Dancehall is big over here. Dancehall is big. There was an event that was running every month called I Love Dancehall, and it was
Wow.
wall to wall, wall to wall. But
Wow.
they take all of the, my mom would say, all of the bad elements of the dancehall. So everybody a dance my head tap and I broke out and I got to dance in a baggy and everything, you know?
Mm.
So that it's a little bit vulgar and even more vulgar than in Jamaica, but very popular. You know what I mean? So if you have people like when Beanie Man come out here, place ram up,
Yeah.
place ram up, man. Yeah. So the dancehall thing is much bigger than reggae, for sure.
Would you say part of it, because they say the people who go to these dancehall parties, they are vulgar, but for example, for in my opinion, vulgar and dancehall is like one in one, right? But the question I want to ask is like, do you think because of this freedom of expression, that's why Australians like take more to dancehall than reggae?
Well, there are a lot
Well,
of there are a lot of dancehall schools in Australia where and there are Jamaicans who run them like for fitness and for health reasons. People like you would go do jazz ballet. There are several dancehall schools in Australia. So once you go and learn to dance, you really want to show people what you've learned.
so you make a
So, you
party.
know, so like when we do JMFF and we have dancehall DJs on, we have to sometimes tell them that there are some children here, so tone it down a little bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
I understand in Jamaica it's all systems go, you know. Vulgar and dancehall is hand and glove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you see you go to let's say you go to a dancehall event? It's gonna be predominantly white Australians there, dressed like Jamaicans, the fake dreads,
The braids, the Jamaican colors,
yeah,
everything.
the body riders, the woman in the body rider with the mesh and the
The
fishnet
mesh.
and all them thing there.
Yeah.
Them a dash out as what I say and them thing there. How do you feel when you're in a
I
situation like that?
I I feel very proud that Jamaica, such a small place, such a small island that influence so many people in so many ways. You know, whether it's the music, like I read a quote on a radio station wall a few weeks ago when I went in for an interview. It says Jamaica, the loudest island. And I think that is so true. So I feel very proud when people embrace everything about Jamaica, even the vulgar part. I feel very proud and touch myself and say, yo, my place that to know.
Yeah.
Because as I tell people all the time, doesn't matter who you are, a Jamaican will never ever try to be like you. But there's so many people that try to be like Jamaicans, and that makes me extremely proud.
Yeah. Do you think they embrace it more than the Jamaicans? Because in Jamaica, for example, they get a lot of stick from the government and the corporate organizations when it comes to dancehall based on its vulgarity. Is that the same thing in Australia, for example? Would you struggle to get a corporate sponsor for a dancehall event?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I do a big outdoor event every February in the heart of the city. It's commissioned by the state of Victoria, and so basically they pay for everything. And I have my dancehall dancers up there in front of Kevin Little and in front of Saxon
Yeah.
Sound System dancing, and
Yeah.
no, everybody they wear what they want to wear, especially in summertime. It's fully embraced over here. Nobody don't have time to. It's Australia is very very forward in the way of thinking as it compares to Jamaica. You know, freedom of expression is embraced by politicians, by teachers, by students, by family members. Yeah, it's the most tolerant place in the world, and for everything, not just that aspect of it. You know.
Yeah.
And not to sidetrack too much, but you said that they give people freedom of expression, right? Do you see the same freedom being given to, for example, other African types of music like Afrobeat, Amapiano, all of these?
Yeah,
Do
man.
they give them
Listen,
space to express themselves?
reggae and dancehall is big, and it's big because I am involved. I think it's big because I'm involved. I see what I see, but I know
Mhm.
that I'm a piano, Zouk, um,
Zouk,
Shatta,
yes.
Shatta,
Kumba.
um, Cumbia, Afrobeats. It's much bigger in Australia than dancehall and reggae
Okay, okay.
because there's a much bigger African diaspora here. There's a lot of Africans in us. So, in 1987, I could go for 3 months without seeing another black person.
Ooh.
But
Wow.
no, you go on the train and you see black people. You walk in the city, you see black people. Lots of Africans here, mainly through the refugee programs, but they outnumber us by many, many thousands. I went to an event that I booked Turbulence for, and it was a Kenyan Independence Day celebration, and there were 1,500 Africans, no white person in the crowd.
Wow.
Wow.
Blew me away.
And
Yeah.
one thing a lot of Jamaicans don't understand as well is that the popularity of reggae music, we'll use your term reggae as the umbrella term for the music
Mm.
that covers everything. The popularity of it is dependent on the Jamaican diaspora. So we functions as agents there to promote the music. So I have 10 white friends when I moved to a different country and I introduced them to that kind of music, So it kind of it dispersed. I put 10 people on and then put 10 people on. But if they have hundreds of me there putting on 10 people, that's 1,000 people getting put on to the music. But Jamaicans seem to think that because there are so many Jamaicans in England and in certain states in America that it is the same all over the world, that the music is being disseminated at the same rate. Whereas you are doing your thing and you're probably working on behalf of like 1,000 Jamaicans there with the amount of work that you're putting in, but there's still not enough Jamaicans as compared to, like, say, the Africans out there that are pushing Afrobeat and Afrobeats and Amapiano and all the African genres of music to that extent. I really want Jamaicans to sit back and actually look at that we're 2.8 million strong in Jamaica, probably like 30 million in a diaspora globally. But when you look at just one African country, Nigeria, there are 200 million in the country already, 200 plus million in the country.
All right. You see it. Exactly. So I tell people all the time, if I was promoting reggae music to make a living, I'd have to give it away a long time ago. It's a passion that I live by, and it's something I will continue to do, because if I don't do it, I actually don't see too many other people who is coming up behind pushing the culture. So yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know in your part of the world where you live, but it's a hard thing to push reggae music out there. It's a hard thing because we don't have. My son, who is living in England for the next 6 months, says to me, Dad, if you were doing this in London, you'll be rich because
True.
you have the population. Because
Yeah.
I put on some serious events, I mean, where the council is coming to me saying, "Oh, we see what you're doing. We want to be involved. We want to help you, and we want you to help us to put on events in our municipality."
Mhm.
If I was in the UK or Canada or North America, I think it could be completely different. But I am so grateful that I am able to have some grassroots, and I'm not the first one. There's lots of retired Jamaican men and women before me that was pushing the culture. But it's my time to work with it and push it. And it gives me the greatest pleasure, you know. I had Jamaican television reach out to me, Jamaican radio. I had a long chat with Muta Baruka one
Mhm.
time on IRA FM about the music here.
Big up Muta
And
all the time.
yeah, man, every
Yeah,
time,
man.
man. My father, man. Chano. Yeah. So how
Um.
about you guys though? Like where you live, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Where you live? Always the landscape with the music over there.
You want to tell him that vein or me must tell him?
Landscape is dry, desolate, desolate. Like in our part of Spain, we live in the southern part of Spain in Murcia. One of the biggest regions, but not a big reggae conglomeration of people that are interested in reggae music as well. Because the people that actually are interested in reggae music, they can just take a 20 euro flight to England.
Yeah,
They
because
can
they
Yeah.
just
can
go
do
over.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they can do that.
Well, listen, man. I saw one of your. I watched the whole thing. One of your
Mm.
podcasts about a um a European reggae promoter.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I end up messaging you, and I understand a lot of what he was saying, but the thing is, every time I'm trying to book a reggae artist, their manager is in Spain, their manager is in France, their manager is somewhere in Europe. Queen
Somewhere. Yeah.
Amiga. Queen Amiga lives in Trinidad. I hear that Jamaica still hasn't fully embraced her because she's from Trinidad, which is so bad because
Man, she get embraced by Ninja Man long time, man.
No,
she's
I
the
think.
she's the most important woman in reggae right now because
Yeah.
she has a message. She's strong, powerful, and everything, right? But when I'm
Mhm.
talking to her, man, her entire band is from France. She live in Trinidad. Her entire band comes from France.
Because her manager is from France as well. Because I met her and I met her manager. We have a slight, we got a little 10-minute
Yeah,
chat
we
with
have to
her.
have 10-minute interview with her. Yeah.
Yeah, after one of her
Yeah,
performance that
yeah,
we went to see. But
yeah,
that interview with the promoter, he highlighted a lot of things that we didn't see. Because as I said, we are young, we are still learning. A lot of Jamaicans, especially the ones that know the reggae industry, they're not forgiving. Like if we don't know something, the comments will tell us, And point of view, Jamaicans, we're not really educated on reggae music unless you go into the industry and you seek out the education for yourself, right?
yes,
Personally,
yes,
him as my brethren, just because we're the two Jamaican here, him teach me enough about reggae music, cause him invested in the industry, so me learn and then I speak to people like you, me learn a little bit and me pick up pieces. But me put
yes,
myself in the shoes of the average Jamaican now. They don't have access to this information. They don't know these things. They don't think about these things. For example, he mentioned the entire Barris situation, and I see it play out like literally 2 weeks later. Burning Spear touring Spain, right?
yeah,
Burning Spear is touring Spain in two venues, I think. One in Madrid, that's the capital of the city, capital of the country,
Yep.
and one in Bilbao,
Bilbao.
small town, right? Madrid show, Burning Spear, we were gonna go, but life happens, so we never get to go. Capacity for the venue 2,500. Turnout less than 500.
wow,
Yep. For Burning Spear.
For burning, that's Burning Spear. That's
yeah,
not next event. Bilbao. This is a venue you got booked for 600 people. This venue holds 600 people, right? We don't even know if that one was sold out as well. But
Yeah.
then you go to France now, and you see Burning Spear in a venue in France where a lot of the reggae artists they have French management and they're signed to French labels. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of reggae artists are signed to French labels. So in France, because the labels are there, they're able to promote them a lot better, and then the venues will be full.
yeah,
And these are club venues. They're holding 1,500 to 2,000 people. You go to Germany now. Germany, still the same club venues, more Jamaicans in Germany, but they love the festivals. European love festivals. So when you have a reggae festival with 10, 20, 30 artists on it,
yep.
they'll get over
That's
Big,
when they
100,000
turn
people
up. Yeah.
easy.
big numbers.
Big numbers.
Yes,
But
yeah.
what happens after the summer tour done? Everyone go
You you
hibernate.
you can't do club shows.
They do club shows and they do tours, but I don't think, for example, an artist probably have to do probably like 20 shows in order to make it
A-
worth it.
And they usually do it
Yeah.
after they have some type of EP coming out or some type of album. It's not a case. It's not usually a case where promoters from Spain want to quick book Queen Omega for all of Spain, for example. You know, usually when they release an album or an EP or they have a song that is very hot right now,
Mm.
or they might have a promoter, as you say, who lives in Spain or France, that will be able to get them shows.
Yeah.
But
And
it's not
another
usually
part,
a case where you can just see Queen Omega in Spain in March or see Queen Omega in Italy in
Yeah.
July just because.
yeah.
Yeah. No, we had 6 big shows with Queen Omega in Australia and New Zealand. So
Mm.
4 shows in Australia. One was a big festival and she played there twice, so 2 days in a row. And then
Yeah.
she went to New Zealand and she was well received, man.
No, she's a great performer. And
Yeah,
that
man.
brings the next thing now. This TikTok generation, they don't appreciate live music until they experience it, but they're not going to give it a chance. There's
No.
nothing like live music, Even if you
Yeah,
don't
I
know the
know.
artist, you enjoy it,
True,
It's true,
true.
brother. It's true. And that's the next thing about live music. If you notice, a lot of artists that travel from the Caribbean or North America and even Europe to Australia, they're doing track shows because there is no, I mean, I don't want to diss the bands here, but because I am Jamaican and
Mm.
I used to listen to Roots Radics, and when I hear a band trying to play reggae in Australia, I'm like, yeah, you're not ready yet. So you can't bring a top artist like Bujo or Beanie Man or Anthony B and put them in front of a band in Australia. It's not going to do them any justice because one, the communication on stage, even if they're here
Yeah.
for 10 weeks, they just don't get it. Most band members don't know. Pull up that, pull up, pull up, pull up. They don't understand
Luo.
that.
And they
They
don't
don't
know mix,
understand.
mix.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the artists are always coming, doing a track show. Now, it would be better if you have a 7-piece band. Like Queen Omega shows were big because her band was, if you close your eyes, you would think they're Jamaicans on stage. They were good.
Yeah,
No
man.
fake thing, So live shows will do better, but you have to almost, I would have to mortgage my house to put on a show with a 10-piece band. Kimani Marley brought 15 people here, bro.
Ooh.
Mm. Yeah, but he has
But
the
you know,
Marley name coming with him.
Yeah, we just got across the line because of how much expenses on top of backline, hotel, transport, food, insurance, visa. Yo, if you price your tickets out of the market, then you're gonna end up holding a long bag that you have to, clear up at the end.
What's the visa process like? Because I know Australian borders are tight.
The visa process is very easy because I'm a registered agent. I do all of my visa applications myself. Not one single person in 20 years has been denied access to Australia because of visa issues. What I apply for my artists is a 408 visa. It's an Australian temporary work permit. So when they get to the border, they have a letter of their approval, and if they have their guitar, if they have their laptop, if they have music, headphones, whatever, they just show their visa. They're working as an artist, and they can stay for either 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. You can stay up to a year as well, but I have to prove that I've got enough work to sustain an artist here for as long as I am requesting.
How long does that process take for an artist from start to finish, like to get the visa approved?
In the past, the visa is between 12 and 24 days. So the process, the hardest part for me is when I have to compile all of the documents. So I have to, first of all, reach out to the artist, get their address, the telephone number, date of birth, passport. They have to sign 2 forms that gives me permission to apply on their behalf. So if you're thinking of Echo Minot is coming out here in November. If you can imagine, Echo Minot is traveling all around Jamaica, and I need him to just sign one document that is a 956A form. Basically, it just gives me permission to ring up the immigration department and say what's going on with this visa. But then Echo Minot has to find a place to print it, to sign it, because you can't do electronic signing. They need a wet signature. Then he has to send it back to me somehow, either by scanning an email or WhatsApp.
Or FedEx.
So yeah, so that can take a while. So I need Echo Minot out here in November, and his visa process has already started.
Okay,
Wow.
smart. But you mentioned earlier for artists like Buju, you don't know with his record and his conviction, would they let him in the country still?
Look, they let Snoop Dogg in, and Snoop Dogg did have some big things that hung over his head.
Was he convicted though?
Well, okay, I don't know, but they let Snoop Dogg in. Snoop Dogg once got the key to the city. Anyway, Eminem was blocked from coming here for a long time by one politician because of his lyrical content. Beenie Man also was rejected for a visa, but when we got certain lawyers on the case, he was granted a visa with a lot of conditions. Like he couldn't use certain lyrics on stage, and he couldn't swear, and he had to tone down his performance, but he was allowed. Australia is very much, if you see border security, almost everything you see on border security is true. They don't really want no one here. They don't care if you're an entertainer. You know, they just don't want people to come here. They have their, see, everyone who lives in France right now, like all of Queen Amiga's band members, when I was doing their visa, all of them in France had to go and have biometrics done, which is they have to go and get their fingerprint and get photographed before they could be granted a visa. Queen Amiga didn't need it because she's from Trinidad. But every two countries have their agreement with each other.
Yeah. So it depends on the relations.
All French nationals have to have biometrics done to get a visa.
Yeah.
I'm working on one for legal shot at the moment, so he's gonna have to go do biometrics as well.
Oh, that's good, man. Stick. We've held you for a long time, and but is there anything else that you have coming up in the future? You mentioned Echo Minot in November. What else is going on in the future for reggae music in Australia, man? I'm excited.
Yes,
I want to come down there.
Yeah. Oh man, look, you're just over the border, bro. So anytime,
just in Europe, just
Hopefully.
18 to 24 hours away.
yeah. You might want to come to Australia one time and run some podcasts from over here, man.
Yeah,
Like it's a really cool place. It's an amazing. Everybody in Australia is friendly, I've had very little opposition in terms of racism. Very even stuff I wouldn't even bother talk about. It is almost, people are racist, but they don't even know they are. So they're not deliberately doing it. They just,
that sounds like Spain.
Yeah, it's just in them, and they don't even know. Sometimes it just come out, right? So no, I have a whole heap of plans, big plans for Australia with reggae music. You know what I mean? We have the Afro-Caribbean Carnival in February. I'm planning to get 2 big name artists out here in February for that. And of course, the Jamaican Music and Food Festival is a big thing. I'm putting 10 sound systems on a lawn in a winery on the 1st of November. I'm talking 10 actual sound systems. This is an event called Heavy Congress.
Okay.
And all the sound systems will play for half an hour, and they rotate. And Echo Minot is coming as special guest. So, yeah, and we have a whole heap of other smaller satellite events, not just in Melbourne. I tour my artists all across the country. I'm I don't know if you guys are aware that Sister Nancy has a movie out called Bam Bam.
No, but I seen that she's back on some tours.
Yeah, she's on some tours
Yeah, so
recently. Yeah.
so there's a biopic which is Sister Nancy's story. It's called Bam Bam. It premiered in Canada about 6 weeks ago. And I'm doing a series of screening of Bam Bam around the country. I was in Sydney on Friday night, and I've got one coming up in Melbourne on the 12th of November. And then I'm going to Western Australia for another one. But yeah, she's popular here, very popular, and the movie is doing really well.
Yeah. What's the future of reggae music in Australia?
The future is bright. The future of reggae music is bright because there are lots of young people starting to find their voice. I mean, there's a young artist here called Miss Nancy, not to be confused with Sister Nancy. She's from the Congo. Oh, she doesn't even know how good she is, but she's into reggae because that's what she grew up listening to. So she doesn't even understand. Like, she's never heard of Nancy as a thing. I said, "Oh, do you know did you name yourself after Sister Nancy?" She goes, and I show her who Sister Nancy was. She's never even heard her song, not once. But there's so much rich talent in the African diaspora, and they, like the Kenyans and from Zimbabwe, they're strictly reggae. Lots of reggae bands starting up, and lots of young people using their talent to sing reggae music. Is that the future is very bright. It's very bright. I wish I could be here much longer.
You will. Do you think these non-Jamaicans are accepted by Jamaicans?
Yes, well, here they are. Definitely, because they I don't consider myself a singer, but I'm probably the best Jamaican singer in Australia. And I don't sing because I wish I could sing better than I can. So we embrace anybody who pick up our culture. There's Sri Lankan people here singing reggae. There's people from Cape Verde's got bands here singing strictly reggae. People from Indonesia. You know that Indonesia, Bali is 3 hours away from Perth. And Bali has the most reggae bands, cover bands, than any other nation in the world.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah. And 90% of them are Bob Marley cover bands.
Yeah, man.
One last question before we let you go. If you go to a regular Australian and ask them what they know about Jamaica, what would be the first answer?
Usain Bolt.
Yeah.
First thing is Usain Bolt, brother. Everybody know. Everybody Usain Bolt. Because Australia, look, everybody knows Bob, but the younger generation is a bigger demographic than the older people. So basically, they all know about Usain Bolt because Australia is a very sporty nation. They're good at everything except running. They're good at cricket. They're good at soccer. Well, not so good, but we have our own football league called AFL, which is the Australian Football League, and they're good at tennis. They're good at swimming. They're good at everything sporty. So naturally, when Usain Bolt and when Jamaica is in the Commonwealth Games and the Olympics, Australians go for Jamaica every time.
Oh, okay.
Every time. So Bob Marley is big, but reggae music is a big thing when people think about Jamaica. Reggae music.
Much respect, Stick.
Yeah, and right now Vybz Kartel is probably if Vybz Kartel could come to Australia, you'd also fill a stadium for sure.
Maybe it's working. Maybe they're cooking it up. You never know. I think he'll probably be there. I think he's doing a world tour.
It'd be amazing.
Might sing in Japan next too.
It'd be amazing. It'd be amazing because he's on the top of everybody's I want to see list. Yeah.
Maybe you can make it up mistake. That one, you must make some profit off that one. That one can pay the mortgage off. Pay off the mortgage with his rates.
I go to the tail and let him sew in a longer packet.
So you didn't see what happened in Trinidad recently. That down the road there.
Yes.
No, I don't want that for you, but the thing is, it happened in Trinidad. So you see what not to do.
You
You
learn.
know,
Yeah, you
you
learn from other
learn
people's
from the
mistakes.
mistake of that promoter. And you don't
That's
know, see you.
that's what that's why I believe like both of you be better fathers than me and my father because
Mm.
we learn from our parents what not to do as fathers and mothers. You know what I mean?
And
So
try.
I agree. I agree with you 100%, brother.
Yeah. So if you get that booking, you can book us to come down as well.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Media pass, man. Straight up. No
Yeah,
All
man,
problem,
we
my
did
right.
it.
brother.
Oh, we did it. Oh, we did it. All right, Stick.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining. Is there anything you want to shout out? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, look, I just like people to just give reggae music a chance, let the music play. There's a message in the music, and I really like my Jamaican artists to go back to the foundation and try and produce some message because people need something to believe in these days. And our ancestors have started something, and people like Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Dennis Brown and Gregory Isaac, they started something, and people want it around the world. And we are talented. We are standing on the shoulders of some amazing ancestors. They prop us up every time. So we just continue to create. And yeah, Jamaica is the most loved place in the world, bro. And I travel a lot. I go all over the place. Jamaica and Jamaica. It's only Jamaicans who don't realize how much love there is for Jamaicans.
True. All right, Stick.
Mm.
Thank you so much for joining
Yes.
us from all the way in Australia. From St. Thomas to Australia, not a common journey, but
No.
hopefully more Jamaicans will be going abroad because I always say, if you stay at home, you learn what is at home, but you don't learn what is in the world. And there's so much knowledge out there to pick up. So Jamaicans, don't be afraid. Don't think America or England is the only destination. Go out there, and massive shout outs to the Aussies that are tuning in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
I
man.
don't,
we want more Jamaicans over here for real,
yeah,
brother.
man.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
alone
so
can't carry the torch.
you need a restaurant down there. The food,
That is what you
Jamaican
need
don't
for
go with the
real,
food
Stick.
today.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
restaurant.
Them come on
Uh,
my house. As soon as Chris Gale get off the plane, he's at my kitchen every time.
see
Yeah,
it there. All right, big ups. Thank you guys for tuning in. And
much
like,
respect.
share, and subscribe. Check out Stick's channels, his Instagram. If you're planning to go to Australia as a reggae artist, he's the man.
He's the man.
All right.
Blessed love, brothers. Blessed love. Take it easy, yeah?